Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamunatira vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astotara Sadasya Srimad Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki Grantha Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Shri Mayapur Dhama ki Yanitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakham Vitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, chapter 19, text 38. is the last verse of this chapter, and it's a really beautiful verse. So, thank you all for coming and seeking your blessings that we can speak some heartfelt words of appreciation for the Bhagavatam. Etam mahā-puṇyam alaṁ pavitram. Etam mahā-puṇyam alaṁ pavitram. Dhanyam yaśasyam padam āyur-āśiṣām. prāṇendriyāṇāṁ yudhi śaurya-vardhanaṁ. Nārāyaṇo te gatir aṅga śṛṇvatām. Etam mahā-puṇyam alaṁ pavitram. Dhanyam yaśasyam padam āyur-āśiṣām. prāṇendriyāṇāṁ yudhi śaurya-vardhanaṁ. Nārāyaṇo te gatir aṅga śṛṇvatām. Etam mahā-puṇyam alaṁ pavitram. Dhanyam yaśasyam padam āyur-āśiṣām. prāṇendriyāṇāṁ yudhi śaurya-vardhanaṁ. Nārāyaṇo te gatir aṅga śṛṇvatām. Bolo. Etam mahā-puṇyam alaṁ pavitram. Dhanyam yaśasyam padam āyur-āśiṣām. prāṇendriyāṇāṁ yudhi śaurya-vardhanaṁ. Nārāyaṇo te gatir aṅga śṛṇvatām. Ladies. Etam mahā-puṇyam alaṁ pavitram. Dhanyam yaśasyam padam āyur-āśiṣām. prāṇendriyāṇāṁ yudhi śaurya-vardhanaṁ. Nārāyaṇo te gatir aṅga śṛṇvatām. Etat, this narrative, mahā-puṇyam, conferring great merit, alaṁ, very, pavitram, sacred, dhanyam, conferring wealth, yaśasyam, bearing fame, padam, the receptacle, āyuḥ, of longevity, āśiṣām, of the objects of one's desire, prāṇa, of the vital organs, indriyāṇām, of the organs of action, yudhi, on the field of battle, śaurya, the strength, vardhanam, increasing, nārāyaṇaḥ, Lord Nārāyaṇa, ante, at the end of life, gatir, shelter, aṅga, oh dear Shaunaka, śṛṇvatām, of those who listen. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. This most sacred narrative confers extraordinary merit, wealth, fame, longevity, and all objects of one's desire. On the field of battle, it promotes the strength of one's vital organs and organs of action. One who listens to it at the last moment of his life is transferred to the supreme abode of the Lord, O dear Shaunaka. Purport. Devotees are generally attracted by the narratives of the pastimes of the Lord. And even though they do not prosecute austerities or meditation, this very process of hearing attentively about the pastimes of the Lord will endow them with innumerable benefits, such as wealth, fame, longevity, and other desirable aims of life. If one continues to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, which is full of narratives of the pastimes of the Lord, at the end of his life, one is sure to be transferred to the eternal, transcendental abode of the Lord. Thus, hearers are benefited both ultimately and for as long as they are in the material world. That is the supreme, sublime result of engaging in devotional service. So what is the sublime, supreme result of engaging in devotional service? Just checking because it's such an important purport. If you miss this, you're missing a lot of nectar. So what is the supreme benefit, the sublime result from engaging in devotional service? Okay, I'll repeat. She said it, but I cannot hear. Yeah, I trust. Okay, so that, it says, hearers are benefited both ultimately and for as long as they are in the material world. Sounds good? The beginning of devotional service is to spare some time and listen to Srimad Bhagavatam from the right source. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also recommended 5 items of devotional service, namely to serve the devotees of the Lord, to chant Hare Krishna, to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, to worship the deity of the Lord, and to live in a place of pilgrimage. Just performing these 5 activities can deliver one from the miserable conditions of material life. Yeah. The importance and the great benefits that one can derive from hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and studying the Bhagavatam is stressed in this purport. And throughout the Bhagavatam, right from the beginning, Srila Vyasadeva is inviting the readers to relish the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's in the prelude of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva is Dharma proita kaitavotra paramo nirmat saranam satam vedyam vastavam atru vasta shivadanta patrayum mulanam Srimad Bhagavate mahā-puṇyam kimva parair ishvaraha sadyor hridaya varudyate trakritivi susrushu vistakshanat completely rejecting all religious activity which are materially motivated. This Bhagavatam propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. Nirmat-saranam. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What need is there for any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears this message, the Supreme Lord is captured within the heart. Capture. So, the beginning of the Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva is rejecting all the dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Now in this verse, we're hearing about merit, wealth, fame, longevity, and all the objects of one's desires. So one may wonder, why is it that the Bhagavatam, it seems like, is this the real goal of hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam? Is it? For some people, maybe. And of course, this is not the pure hearing of the Bhagavatam, but the point is that the Bhagavatam will benefit everyone who reads and hears the message of the Bhagavatam. Everyone will be benefited. These are secondary benefits. And it's like sometimes when you want to give the medicine to your child, the medicine is sugar-coated, right? Or chocolate, you have something so that you take the medicine. So similarly, the Bhagavatam sometimes it gives the medicine in a sugar-coated way for the beginners, for people who are still, having material desires. So, but in any case, Prabhupada is emphasizing in the purport the same things, that one will be benefited in this life, during this life, and one will be benefited at the end. And what is the ultimate benefit of the Bhagavatam? What is the desired result that we want to obtain from hearing Srimad Bhagavatam? It's Krishna. Krishna. I just quoted that famous verse from the Bhagavatam at the beginning, that it says, Kritivi shushrushuvistakshanat. That by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within the heart. So this is the real object of the Bhagavatam. I mean, there are so many benefits from hearing the Bhagavatam, but we want to capture Krishna within our hearts. And this is only going to happen if we read according to the prescription the Bhagavatam is giving us, right? And it says, Takritivi sushrushuvistakshanaat. It says, Kritivi sushrushuvis. It means that one must be pious. One has to be pious. One has to be religious. One has to lead a pure life. Prabhupada, in another famous purport of the Bhagavatam, explains that one to hear with rapt attention, one must be pure in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And shushuvish, and that's the point, that one has to hear with rapt attention. Then the Lord will be established, the Lord will be captured within the heart. So this is the message of the Bhagavatam. Somehow the devotees sometimes don't read the Bhagavatam. And it's throughout the Bhagavatam is Vivata Bhagavatam Rasamalaya Muhuraho Rasikavu Vivaga. Third verse, Lord Srila Vyasadeva is inviting the readers to relish Srimad Bhagavatam. And what is the object of this hearing? Is again Rasam Alayam, to experience rasa. When we hear the Bhagavatam, we have the opportunity to associate with great personalities in the Bhagavatam. Right from the beginning, we are associating with Sutta Goswami here, Shaunaka Rishi, Narada Muni, Vyasadeva, Maitreya, Vidura, Kunti Devi, Lord Brahma speaking with Vishnu. The Bhagavatam is giving access to us to these, the greatest devotees, the greatest personalities, and we are able to associate directly with them and associate directly with Krishna through the pages of the Bhagavatam. And what will be the benefit of this? This is where, this verse is emphasizing that at the end of one's life, one will be able to be transferred to the supreme abode of the Lord. In other words, hearing the Bhagavatam regularly will enable us to attain an eternal blissful life of service at the lotus feet of Krishna. It's such a simple process. Prabhupada emphasizes the process is simple, but the application is complicated, no? But all we are being asked to do is to read the Bhagavatam, to absorb our minds in the transcendental sound vibration of the holy names of Krishna Katha. There are so many nice verses that come to mind where the speaker of the Bhagavatam is encouraging us to hear. Idam Bhagavatam, right in the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavatam, all the different incarnations are being, not all the different, but a partial list of incarnations is being given. And right at the end, Idam Bhagavatam nama purana brahmasamhitam. What is it? Uttamasloka charitan chakara vagaman rishi. Nishrayasya lokasya dhanyam swastya yanam mahat. Again, that this beautiful Bhagavatam, one of the acharyas comment that this Idam Bhagavatam nama, it means that this is the Purana of the holy name. This is the greatest Purana actually, which was is Idam Bhagavatam Puranam Brahma Samhitam. It's non-different from Krishna. We actually cannot glorify the Bhagavatam enough because Krishna is inconceivable, Krishna is unlimited. And so is the Bhagavatam. We will never reach to the end of the Bhagavatam, no matter how long and how many hours we put into it. And that's the beauty of it. It remains ever fresh. And what it says? It says, Nishrayasaya, that it brings about the ultimate benefit for the whole society. Dhanyam. Dhanyam, it gives, is all auspicious. Swastya-yanam is, it brings, it's all auspicious, swastya-yanam mahat, and it's all perfect. This is the Bhagavatam. And we understand, Sutta Goswami, right at the beginning of the Bhagavatam, he is being asked by Shaunaka Rishi different questions. And one of the questions is, what is the ultimate benefit for human society? How can a society achieve perfection? And it's through bhakti. And in the description of, in his answers to these questions, he is given a step-by-step, stage of the process of bhakti. And it begins by hearing. It begins by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And what happens when we hear the Srimad Bhagavatam? Krishna is pleased. So now comes to the point that one may wonder, how is it that just by hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, one gains purification? How is it that, by becoming absorbed in the Bhagavatam, one gets purified? How is it just hearing the Bhagavatam? You can do so many things. You can do therapy, you can do, hypnosis, you can, do so many things these days, to clear your mind. You can, there is so many things for self-development and this and that, right? But the medicine, the prescription of the Bhagavatam is that we should hear about Krishna. Because what is actually the problem of material existence? What is the disease? What is keeping us? The disease is actually itself being in the material world. As far as we are in the material world, no matter what you do, you are sick. You are going to be suffering. Material existence means suffering. It's concomitant. It's just the way it is. So the actual solution to the problems of life, which is being emphasized in this verse, is, like it says, just performing these 5 activities can deliver one from the miserable conditions of life. What is the ultimate solution? The ultimate solution is to get out of the material world. And in order to get out of the material world, we have to become free from the very disease that keeps us bound to the material world. And what is it? What keeps us here? We've forgotten Krishna. We're envious of Krishna. We want to enjoy. We want to be the controllers. We want to be the enjoyers. It's called I and mine, false egotism. So the means to become free from that disease is to remember Krishna, is to hear about Him, because when we hear about Him, what happens is that the envy that is in our hearts becomes, it disappears. śṛṇvatām svakatā Krishna punya śrāvana kirtana hridyantasto hyavadrini vidunoti suritsatam. That the Supreme Lord is pleased with the devotee who has developed the urge to hear His messages, which are by themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So this verse is very nice because Prabhupada said that just hearing the Bhagavatam is purifying. Even if you don't understand the language. I remember when I first started to visit the temple, I was in England, and I just arrived in England. I didn't speak English much, maybe a few words, but not much. And I had been there for maybe 3 or 4 weeks, I don't remember exactly. And I went to the temple, and I couldn't understand a word. But the message of the Bhagavatam entered my heart, even though I didn't. So this message is so purifying that just hearing that slight association. I mean, I was thinking about this new film, this mahā-avatar, right? Some devotees they have different opinions about it, but one thing throughout the movie is that Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya is so many times recited, that I think by the end of it, you may even have learned it, and it's a narration about the pastimes of Krishna. In fact, it's a narration also about the pastime of Varahadev, which is the killing of Hiranyaksha, which we just have read. So certainly there will be great benefit for those people who hear the message. And the fact that it's being dedicated to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, it makes us even more auspicious, and it's done by a devotee. So, it's reaching out millions of people. I mean, and now there are more stories, all based on the Bhagavatam. It's very exciting. Despite whatever shortcomings there may be there, every endeavor is always covered by some fault, but it's so auspicious that now Lord Nrsimhadev is well known, widely known, and the story. So there is some purification, and actually, the Bhagavatam presents these, different stories, different pastimes to capture the mind, to capture our minds. Because as I said, we're envious of God. If someone begins to narrate, I mean, we heard this many times, but it's the fact. If someone begins to speak about us, we're very attentive, right? We're very attentive, and we may even enjoy it, If we are, very, very conditioned. But when we hear about Krishna, what happens? What happens when you open the Bhagavatam? Honestly, you know, it's very easy to fall asleep, no? Yeah. 10 minutes. You can put the timer. You know, see how long you last without. You know. So this means that we are, and that's why the devotees don't read the Bhagavatam. This means that we're out of habit, because the devotees are saying, you know, when we hear that when Raghunath Bhatta was reading the Bhagavatam, or when Gadadhar Pandit was reading the Bhagavatam for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the manuscript was, you know, damaged because of the tears that were coming from his eyes. He was reading with so much eagerness. We should read the Bhagavatam with such eagerness that actually this is Krishna speaking to me directly. How many of us have experienced this? That we opened the Bhagavatam and it was just like boom, you know, like right directly to the heart. So many times. The Bhagavatam, and even if you are not, even if what you're going through in your mind at that moment is not when you read the Bhagavatam, then it happens afterwards, you know, like your whole life can be, you could say, directed by the Bhagavatam. If you're reading the Bhagavatam constantly, it's your meditation, and what you're reading, you put to test in your own life. And it becomes very, very personal. And what happens is that as we are reading the Bhagavatam on a regular basis, and I said, once again, you know, there is all these secondary benefits, but nashta prayesha vadishu nityam bhagavat sevaya. Bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Bhaktir bhavati naishtiki, that the Supreme Lord is established as an irrevocable fact. You become convinced of Krishna, of the reality. Bhagavatam is presenting the reality. Krishna swadam upagate dharma jnana divisaha kalao nastadrishansa puranarko danideta. That this beautiful Bhagavatam has arisen just as after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by knowledge, religion, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of the age of Kali shall get light from this Bhagavad Purana. So it's the transcendental weapon that we've got in this Kali Yuga to gain light. What is the darkness? What is the darkness? The darkness is in our hearts. We cannot see the reality. We are not attracted to the reality, and the Bhagavatam is removing that reality. So Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada had realized all this that we're talking right now. He had deeply realized it. And that is why before he came to the West, he armed himself with a weapon. He translated the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And when he came, you seen that little pamphlet he had, message of goodwill. And it was, you know, like advertising the Srimad Bhagavatam, promoting the Srimad Bhagavatam. And throughout his preaching career, you know, the preaching time that he was with us, 12, 13 years in the West, he was dedicating the best time of his day to translate the Bhagavatam. He made that his primary work. The most important, like Giriraj Swami told him that your most important project was complete the Bhagavatam and the TOVP. Why? Because Prabhupada understood that this will be the means of conquest. How many of us are struggling spiritually with the mind? Is the mind giving us trouble? Material existence is a source of trouble. So what is the solution? The medicine that the acharyas are presenting, they all study the Bhagavatam, they scrutinizingly study the Bhagavatam. We are hearing also in this purport, Prabhupada is quoting that Panchanga Bhakti, that these 5 items, out of which Bhagavad Shravana is one of them, will give perfection. Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he explains that even done without faith, will give bhava, will give love of God. So this is the power. So somehow we need to organize our lives in a way that we are in contact with reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, that it becomes our constant companion, our friend. The goal, we're discussing about the different goals for our reading, our study the Bhagavatam. Srila Sanatana Goswami has compiled some beautiful prayers in which he praises the Srimad Bhagavatam. You know this from Krishna Lila Shtava? It's a very, very nice. Sarva Shastra Dipiyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpalam, Sarva Vedanta Satpalam. I recite them every day and now they're eluding me. Sarva Shastra Dipiyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokaika Drikprada Sarva Bhagavata Prāṇa Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu Kali Dvanto Dita Ditya Shri Krishna Parivartita Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshaksharayate Sarvada Sarva Sevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namastume Madeka Bando Matsangim Madguru Mam Mahadana Mam Nishtaraka Madbhagya Na Madananda Namastute Asadu Sadhu Tadajim Ati Nicho Chatakara Anamuncha Kadachimam Premna Ritkanta Yospura. So Srila Sanatana Goswami is saying that this Srimad Bhagavatam, I mean, I'm not going to go through the whole translation, but he really establishes what is the goal of our study. He describes that actually the Bhagavatam is the essence of all the Vedas, is decorated with all the ornaments of the Vedas, is the fruit of all the Vedas, is Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangi, Madguru Mamahadana, Manishtarakama. You are my guru, you are my master, you are my friend, you are my eternal companion, you are my great fortune. This is the goal of our reading the Bhagavatam. It's not just a book. It's Krishna. Prabhupada says we can worship the Bhagavatam just like we worship the deity. One can experience Krishna through the pages of the Bhagavatam. So our prayer is that the Bhagavatam becomes our companion, our friend. Or you who give saintliness to the unsaintly. What hope is there? What other hope is there? These anarthas, they're so difficult to give up, is it not? But all we can do is to apply the process. And the process is given very clear. That Prabhupada established this Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya. Every day we come to the Bhagavatam. It's a service to the Bhagavatam. We want to get the blessings of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We want to get Krishna's blessings. So right there, somehow the clock is not visible there. So right from the beginning, the Bhagavatam is encouraging the readers, then Sutta Goswami is encouraging the readers, then we hear the pastime about Vyasadeva. and how Vyasadeva is also foreseeing the problems in Kali Yuga. I mean, I don't know, it's just now because I've been in the West for a couple of months, but I have never seen the world so polarized, you know, in the sense that there is conflicts everywhere and extremism and insanity. Actually, you know, it's just insanity, really. From the top. From the top. It's scary. You know, they did some analysis and checks in the toilets in the European Parliament, and cocaine there on the toilets. These are the people who are leading the world, you know. Wow. And what they're promoting, the ideas are coming. And what is coming can be much worse. And Srila Vyasadeva, he was foreseeing all this. Srila Prabhupada was foreseeing all this. So how are we going to remain sane? How are we going to, like Prabhupada says, sane in our transactions? Is by regular hearing of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is the message of this verse. It's encouraging us to do so. And of course, we'll get merit, wealth, fame, longevity, all the objects of one's desire. But, you know, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that what is the speciality about the Bhagavatam is that the Bhagavatam will leave us with only one desire. And that desire is Krishna. I don't want anything else. Like, you know, in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also, Rupa Goswami, he is writing many beautiful verses, and in one verse he's saying, you know, if you are still attached to friends, family, society, he said, don't go to the banks of Keshigat, because there is this beautiful young boy with his three bended form, casting sidelong glances, playing on his flute. Don't go there. Because if you go there, you will, you know, lose all attraction for anything. So the next verse is not so famous, but is as that one. But it's a similar technique. Is praising, is condemning what is praising, and is praising what is condemning, right? So he said, "Oh, you fools! I can see that you must have heard the syllables of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Because now you have lost all, you are denouncing the benefits of dharma, artha, and, you know, deriving liberation, moksha. Right? So this is the thing, that when we come in touch with the Bhagavatam will fulfill our hearts, our souls so much that we will no longer be hankering from these things. So as I said, it may be praising other things, but the real goal is that we want to develop an eternal relationship with Krishna. And we develop that eternal relationship with Krishna by hearing about Him. As I mentioned, He is pleased. He's pleased when we do this. We should have this present in our lives. He's so pleased because it shows that we are eager. It shows our eagerness to associate with Him directly. And practically, how do we do this? So now, so many devotees are talking about this because it's really important that, you know, that we become empowered. I strongly feel that Prabhupada became empowered also for his preaching. It's not only that he was just, you know, transmitting the message to us through his purports, but he himself was getting empowered every day in his while he was writing his purports. Through that direct association with the Lord. So my experience has been that I am only here because of the Bhagavatam, frankly speaking. So many things have failed in Krishna consciousness, but the Bhagavatam never failed. you know. Unfortunately, we sometimes put faith in wrong people, or we've disenchanted by certain things. But the Bhagavatam is always there like a rock, you know, sending the message. And there, in the moments that we are at the lowest point, in the moments we're inspired, at every moment, and this is what I like this prayer, Mareka Bando Mat Sangim, Mat Guru, you know, you are the friend of the poor, of the fallen. You know, you are my eternal companion. So, like, we can look into our lives, you know, how the Bhagavatam was there, you know, through our lives. And then, maybe, when we are leaving this world, you know, the Bhagavatam is, you know, is there in our mind, is vibrating. All these beautiful verses, all these beautiful pastimes. Like I was saying that right at the beginning, the pastime is there, how Vyasadeva is foreseeing the situation in the age of Kali, and he is taught by his guru to do what? To compile the Bhagavatam. And then he himself, Narada Muni, gives himself as an example of the benefit of hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. He heard the Bhagavatam from the Bhaktivedantas, and he became a transcendental sage within very short time. So the message is so clear. I'm pretty sure we heard all these things before, but are we applying? Are we implementing? Is the Bhagavatam there when we go home? Is the Bhagavatam there on the shelf open and we are reading the Bhagavatam? Have we read the 12 cantos? I like to finish saying that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he also had, all our acharyas had so much appreciation from the Bhagavatam, and he said on one occasion that if all the books of the planet will be burned, but just 2 books will remain, Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, there will be no any reason to lament anything. He actually, his favorite book was the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he also said that, you know, even if you have to give up the Bhagavatam, because the Chaitanya Charitamrita is the Bhagavatam alive, is the application of the Bhagavatam. So he said that, you know, in order to understand the Bhagavatam, we have to read the Chaitanya Charitamrita. We have to study the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this is like a life project. Isn't it? You know, how it takes time. It takes time. But we nonetheless, this is the medicine. And what will happen when we do this? Right now, extraordinary merit, wealth, fame, longevity, we will become happy, basically. We will become sane. And at the end, we'll get Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So a couple of minutes if someone would like to offer, ask a question or comment. Yeah. Mataji, we have the mic.
Hare Krishna, thank you for class. I want to ask a question, maybe it's a little bit complicated. Sometimes we follow Bhagavatam conversation between Shukadeva Goswami Parikshit Maharaj. Since 3rd canto we are following Maitreya Muni and Vidura. And now we are following Sutta Goswami and Shaunaka Rishi. So is there some reason, some special reason why now suddenly we are going back to hearing from Sutta Goswami and Shaunaka Rishi, asking him
Well, what happens is that you have a conversation within a conversation. So the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya is being related by Sutta Goswami to Shaunaka Rishi. So from time to time, Sutta Goswami will appear, like in this case, you know. And usually what I find also, it is very fascinating, I love this, is that whenever there is some kind of end to some kind of pastime, you know, the sages at Naimisharanya will express their eagerness to hear more. Because almost like they're afraid that, okay, game over, you know. I remember when I was a kid and we were watching cartoons, you know, those days there was no internet, you know. and you come to the end and you're like really afraid that there's not going to be more cartoons, you know, and then there will be another one. It's like you're so excited, you know. I mean, it's a crude example, but the sages are so eager, you know, they are afraid that now it's game over. So they will, please continue narrate, you know, then the pastime. So that happens on a regular basis, that, you know, Vidura talking to Maitreya, then the conversation goes back to Shonaka Rishi, or the conversation goes back to Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadeva Goswami. Is very nice. And personally, because I study Bhakti by Baba, I've been teaching Bhakti by Baba, I was able to appreciate this more through the study of the Bhagavatam than through the reading. Because sometimes you're reading the Bhagavatam and you may lose track of the whole picture, you know. But through the study you see that the Bhagavatam is so perfectly orchestrated, you know. The different conversations are taking place. And yeah, so the sages, every speaker of the Bhagavatam and every hearer of the Bhagavatam, you know, the qualities of the hearers and the qualities of the speaker. We didn't go into that today because no time, but it's relevant to the verse. And at the beginning I mentioned that in order to get the fruit of the Bhagavatam, you have to have eagerness. So that eagerness is expressed by the sages of Naimisharanya. What is that famous verse? It's eluding me now. Yeah, we're never tired of hearing the transcendental message of the personality of Godhead. One who has heard about this, relish of this at every moment. You know, we you know, every step, sadhu, sadhu, pade, pade. We're hearing, like Sukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj, they're always praising. The hearer is expressing his eagerness, and the speaker is also offering respects to his superiors. It's a whole culture that comes along with the Bhagavatam. So when we approach the Bhagavatam, we should do it with utter respect, following in the footsteps of this. I'm going to something else, but anyway, that's the answer. Is that correct? Is that okay? Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions before we finish? Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande Haribo.